Not my mess, not my problem. That's what she told me when my brother lost everything. Months later, her sister's fraud exploded. She begged for help. I told her, not my family, not my problem. Her hypocrisy finally ate her alive. Hey, Reddit, so my ex-fiance used to preach about boundaries and how my family's problems weren't her concern. I shrugged it off until my younger brother hit rock bottom and needed help. The way she handled that versus how she expected me to handle her sister's disaster. Let's just say it showed me exactly who she really was. Buckle up, because this one spiraled way past anything I ever expected. I, Adam, 29 male. If you looked at my life from the outside a year ago, you'd probably think I was set. Decent job as a mechanic, steady income, good apartment, and a fiance that coworkers called a catch. Erica, 27 female, works as an advertising manager, and she's got that corporate shine about her. People would say, "You're lucky, man, she's got her act together." And I'd nod along because, yeah, on paper she looked like she did. What people didn't see was her obsession with this one word, boundaries. She lived and breathed it. To her, boundaries meant keeping a safe distance from anything that didn't directly benefit her. She even had a catchphrase, not my problem, not my mess, not my responsibility. She dropped that line like it was a mantra. The neighbor's car got broken into and asked for help? Not my problem. Her best friend going through a divorce? Not my problem. My mom asking if I could help set up her TV? Erica's comment. She should have called a handyman. Not our problem. That line became her weapon of choice in any argument or situation. And here's the thing. I actually respected it at first. Everyone says you need boundaries, right? Keeps you sane, prevents you from being a doormat. But Erica took it from being healthy boundaries to being straight up selfish. If it didn't benefit her, she wanted no part of it. Let me give you a couple of small examples before we even get into the real mess. Last year, my cousin asked if I could drive him to the airport at 6 a.m. because his ride canceled last minute. I said sure. He's family. Erica's response? So now you're Uber for free? Not our problem. She literally got mad that I was willing to wake up early for a family favor. Another time, my grandma's wheelchair was acting up. She lives across town. Took me maybe 45 minutes to drive over, fix it, and get back. Erica flipped. Said I was wasting my weekend on other people's emergencies. My grandma, 80 years old. That's how Erica saw it. Now, here's where it gets fun. Erica held this not my problem policy like it was the 10 Commandments until her family was involved. When her younger brother locked his keys in his car, suddenly it was an all-hands-on-deck emergency. When her mom's fridge stopped working, I was apparently the free maintenance guy again. Boundaries apparently had a family clause. You'd think I'd have noticed the hypocrisy sooner. But you don't go into a relationship expecting to need a flowchart just to keep up with someone's double standards. I figured she was just being dramatic in the moment. But those little red flags? They add up. And that's where Gus comes in. Gus is my younger brother. He's 24 now, but even when he was a teenager, he was the kind of kid who never gave anyone problems. Never into drinking, never into partying too hard. No stupid run-ins with cops. While most guys his age were messing around, he was holding down part-time jobs and paying his own phone bill. He's the type who always wants to stand on his own 2 feet, sometimes to the point where he refuses help even when he needs it. That stubborn streak makes him proud, but it also means he'll struggle longer than most before admitting it. I always respected him for that, though. He wasn't the golden child. He wasn't spoiled. He just put his head down and worked hard. If anything, I used to worry that he carried too much on his shoulders for his age. Erica barely knew him outside of holidays and a few random dinners. She didn't dislike him exactly, but she treated him like some distant acquaintance instead of my brother. And I should have noticed that. Looking back, her attitude toward Gus was a preview of how things were going to go down later. If she couldn't care less about my younger brother's achievements, what chance did he have if he ever stumbled? At the time, I just kept telling myself it wasn't a big deal. We all have different family dynamics, right? Not everyone needs to be best friends with their in-laws. I thought maybe she just needed more time to warm up. But the thing about Erica was she didn't warm up. She calculated. Everything was about her image, her comfort, and her rules. And those rules were strict. Anytime I even hinted at bending them, she'd get defensive. Almost like she had to win every conversation about it. I remember one night, I half joked, "Man, if I ever break my leg, you'd probably tell me to hobble to the ER myself." Or, without missing a beat, she said, "Well, yeah, you're an adult. I'm not a nurse." She laughed like it was funny. I didn't. That's when I started keeping mental score. Every time she said, "not my problem," I logged it in my head. Not because I wanted to use it against her, but because a part of me knew one day it would matter. And boy, did it matter. A few months later, Gus called me. The kind of call where you know before you even answer that something's wrong. His voice was strained, like he was forcing every word out. He said, "Hey man, things are kind of bad right now." Turns out, bad was an understatement. His company had just cut half the staff. They didn't care if you'd been busting your ass every day. They just handed you a box and told you security would walk you out. That was blow number one. Blow number two, his girlfriend. They'd been dating a little over a year, and I thought she was decent. But as soon as the job disappeared, she started reevaluating the relationship. 2 weeks later, she packed her bags and was gone. Blow number three came fast. His landlord sold the building, gave tenants 30 days to move out. Gus had no income, no girlfriend, no apartment. He tried couch surfing with a couple of friends at first, but you can only stay on someone's futon so long before you feel like a burden. So he did what stubborn guys do. He slept in his car. He didn't call me right away. That's just how Gus is. Responsible to a fault. Too proud to ask for help until it's past the breaking point. He toughed it out for a full week before he finally admitted it. When he told me he'd been showering at the gym and sleeping in the back seat of his Honda, I had to sit there for a second and let the anger wash over me. Not at him. At the fact that he thought this was his only option. I told him flat out, "You're not sleeping in your damn car anymore. You can crash here until you're back on your feet." He hesitated, said he didn't want to intrude, that he had 2 job interviews lined up and just needed a month. That's Gus for you. Even homeless, he's still thinking about how not to inconvenience me. That night, I brought it up with Erica. Sat her down, laid out the situation, explained this wasn't permanent. Just a couch, a few weeks, that's it. Her face hardened before I even finished. "Your family's troubles aren't my concern, Adam. We've talked about this. I don't do family rescues." I stared at her, waiting for her to laugh, to show me she was joking. Nothing. She was dead serious. I said, "He lost his job because the company downsized. That's not bad planning. That's life." She shrugged. "Everyone should have 6 months savings. That's basic adulting. His lack of foresight isn't my emergency." I almost laughed. This from the same woman who ordered takeout 5 nights a week and cried about her credit card bill like it was a surprise every month. I bit my tongue, though. No point in fighting her. She wanted to play queen of boundaries? Fine. I looked her right in the eye and said, "You're really making me choose between helping my brother and keeping the peace with you?" She shook her head all smug. "I'm not making you choose. I'm setting my boundary. Your family's mess isn't my concern. If you can't respect that, maybe we should question if we're a good match." And that right there told me everything I needed to know. Threatening our engagement because my brother was living in his car. She thought she had me cornered. She thought I'd fold. So I smiled, nodded, and said, "You're absolutely right. My family isn't your concern." She kissed my cheek, thinking she'd won, and went back to scrolling her phone. She had no clue I'd already decided exactly what I was going to do. The next morning, I called Gus back, told him to meet me at a budget motel near his job interviews. Now, yeah, I could have just said screw Erica and had him crash at my place anyway. But I know my brother. Gus is the type who already feels awkward asking for help, and the last thing he needed was Erica giving him side-eye every time he sat on the couch. He would have felt like an intruder instead of family, and that kind of tension would have crushed him while he was already vulnerable. The motel wasn't just about keeping the peace with her. It was about giving him a space where he could breathe without feeling judged. And honestly, I wasn't risking Erica making him feel like a squatter during interviews. The guy needed confidence, not sabotage. So I swiped my card for 2 weeks up front. Cost me about $1,400 with tax. Painful, sure. That was a chunk of my savings. But watching him drop his duffel bag on a clean bed instead of a car seat, worth every cent. I stocked him up with groceries, some interview clothes, even filled his gas tank. He tried to argue, said he'd pay me back. I told him not to worry about it. Deep down, I knew he actually would, because that's who he is. He's never taken a dime he didn't plan on returning. For the first time in weeks, he looked relieved. Not fixed, not magically better, but relieved. Sometimes that's all someone needs, a breather. Back at home, I didn't even hide what I'd done. I opened my banking app one night to check my balance, and Erica caught sight of the charge. Her eyes narrowed. "You actually paid for a motel?" I didn't flinch. "My family, my issue, my cash, just like you said. So, it's none of your business. If you can't respect that you can leave." She pursed her lips, clearly irritated, but she didn't press it. She thought ignoring it would make me regret spending the money. What she didn't realize was I was sleeping better than I had in weeks. Gus had a roof over his head, a shot at bouncing back, and I'd kept my word as a brother. Erica? She was too busy congratulating herself on sticking to her principles. She had no idea that her precious boundaries were about to backfire harder than she could imagine. While Erica was busy patting herself on the back for being disciplined, Gus was out there grinding. Within a week at the motel, he had 2 interviews lined up. By the end of the second week, he'd landed one. Warehouse supervisor at a logistics company. Solid pay, better hours, and room to move up. The guy didn't waste time sulking. He put his head down and handled business. Here's the part that still makes me proud. The same day he got his first paycheck, he called me. Said, "Hey, I'm sending you money back for the motel. Might take me a couple months to square it all, but I don't want you carrying my weight." I told him he didn't have to rush, but he insisted. That's Gus. Homeless one week, already paying his debts the next. Not because I asked, but because he's responsible. He'd text me updates every few days. Got an apartment lined up with a coworker. Already saving. Already planning. He was bouncing back fast. And every time I thought about Erica refusing to let him crash on the couch, it just confirmed she wasn't built for the same definition of family that I was. Now, while my brother was climbing back up, Erica's sister Lauren was headed in the opposite direction. Lauren's 31, and if you asked her, she was the successful one in the family. She worked at a local nonprofit charity, always bragging about how noble her job was compared to everyone else chasing money. Truth was, she barely scraped by, but she loved the image of being the martyr who sacrificed for the community. That image went up in flames real quick. One Thursday night, Erica's phone started blowing up. Group texts, missed calls, nonstop buzzing. She finally picked up and ran to the kitchen, pacing like a cat on hot pavement. I just sat there listening. The words I caught made me pause. Embezzlement. Police. Charges. I raised an eyebrow. What's going on? She spun around, panicked. Lauren's been accused of stealing money at work. They're saying she falsified expense reports. I leaned back on the couch. So, she got caught stealing? Erica glared. No, it's not like that. She says it's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding doesn't get the cops involved. And sure enough, within 24 hours, the details started spilling out. CCTV footage showed Lauren sneaking into the office after hours. Receipts lined up showing she'd been submitting bogus reimbursements. Gas, supplies, meals, that never actually happened. She even tried to pin it on a coworker, but the paper trail was too clean. She was cooked. By the weekend, she was suspended from work. By Monday, she was fired. And not quietly either. Her employer put out a statement about breach of trust. In the nonprofit world, that's basically social death. Erica was in meltdown mode, pacing, crying, storming around the apartment. She finally cornered me in the kitchen. Adam, she needs a lawyer, a good one. If she doesn't fight this, she could go to prison. I kept my face straight. Then she better find one. Erica slammed her hand on the counter. Do you know how expensive lawyers are? $10,000 at least. Lauren doesn't have that kind of money. I shrugged. Sounds like her problem. Her eyes widened, like I'd just said something in another language. Are you serious right now? My sister's life is on the line. And 3 weeks ago, my brother's life was in his car. Remember what you told me? Not my problem, not my mess, not my responsibility. I'm just respecting your philosophy. Her face twisted. That's different. How? I asked. Gus lost his job because his company cut staff. Lauren stole from a charity. One's bad luck, the other's a crime. If anything, Gus deserved more sympathy. She shook her head, muttering under her breath about me being vindictive. I just leaned against the counter, calm as hell. Not vindictive, consistent. You made the rules, not me. Your family, your issue. She stormed off, phone in hand, probably calling her parents to complain about how cold I was being. Meanwhile, I poured myself a coffee and enjoyed the silence. The irony was perfect. The same woman who threatened our engagement over Gus staying on our couch was now demanding I fork over thousands for her sister's fraud case. It wasn't even anger I felt. It was almost funny, like watching someone trip over their own shoelaces after bragging about how fast they run. Gus was out there, standing tall again, paying back debts he didn't even need to rush on. Lauren? She was crying about how unfair life was, waiting for everyone else to clean up her mess. Erica wanted me to step in and be the hero for her sister, but I'd already chosen my side, and it wasn't the one with fake boundaries and crocodile tears. Erica didn't let it go. The second I refused to bankroll her sister's lawyer, she stormed out of the apartment, slammed doors, and spent the next 2 days giving me the silent treatment. I didn't chase her. This engagement was already done on my side. Then came the invite. Dinner at her parents' house. Miguel and Elena wanted everyone together to talk things through. Translation, they wanted me in the hot seat so they could guilt trip me into saving Lauren. Normally, I'd skip that circus, but I smelled something in the air. Erica was too confident, too smug. She thought she'd win in front of an audience. What she didn't know was, I had the ace in my pocket. So I showed up, sat at that big oak table while Erica tried acting like everything was normal. Lauren was there too, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Red eyes, messy bun, twitchy hands. She barely touched her plate. Halfway through, Miguel cleared his throat. So, we all know why we're here. Lauren's in trouble, and as family, we need to figure out how to support her. His eyes cut toward me. I didn't blink. Funny. When my brother was living in his car, I was told family problems aren't shared, that they stay with the person who has them. Erica's fork clattered. That's not fair. I'd started recording our boundary arguments a while back, since Erica had a habit of twisting things later. I held up a finger, calm as ever, and tapped my phone. Hit play. Out came Erica's voice, echoing across the table. Your family's troubles aren't my concern. If you can't respect that, maybe we should question if we're a good match. The room went dead silent. You could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. Miguel leaned back slowly. Elena's face paled. Diego, their cousin, smirked like he'd just watched a car crash in slow motion. Erica froze, then snapped, That's out of context. Context was my brother sleeping in his car, I said coolly. This is me respecting your rules. And that's when it happened. Lauren, cornered and desperate, blurted out, Erica knew about the reimbursements too. She told me everyone does it, that it wasn't a big deal. The table erupted. Elena gasped. Miguel's jaw dropped. Erica shot up out of her chair, face red. What the hell are you talking about, Lauren? Don't drag me into your mess. Lauren leaned forward, wild-eyed. Don't act innocent. You told me to take advantage of the system. You said it was fine to pad the reports. You benefited too. At the time, I had no clue what she meant. Later, I found out Lauren had bought Erica groceries and even a blender with that funny money. But in that moment, it just sounded like desperate finger-pointing. But now, was that true? I didn't even care. The beauty of it was that the accusation was enough. Erica, the queen of boundaries, suddenly looked like she might be knee-deep in her sister's fraud. And she lost it. You're pathetic, Lauren. You've always been jealous of me. I work hard, I earn my living, and you're just a screw-up. Don't you dare pin this on me. She turned on me next, fingers stabbing the air. And you, her voice cracked. Don't act like your brother's some saint. Gus is a loser. He can't even keep a job without crying for help. You shouldn't have to babysit him, Adam. I shouldn't have to babysit either of you. There it was, out in the open. The perfect daughter, the one who preached about boundaries, calling my brother a loser in front of the whole family. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed, and said calmly, There it is. That's the real Erica. Miguel rubbed his face, looking exhausted. Enough. Both of you. He looked directly at Lauren then. This isn't your first screw-up. Don't think we don't remember the credit card fraud, or the time we had to pay off that shoplifting charge so it wouldn't go on your record. We've covered for you too many times. The air went heavy. Elena looked down at her plate, ashamed. Diego muttered, Figures. Lauren's jaw dropped. Dad, you promised you'd never bring that up. Miguel slammed his fist on the table. We shouldn't have hidden it. Maybe if you'd faced consequences then, you wouldn't be in this mess now. It's our fault, and that's why we won't bail you out this time. Figure out yourself. Erica looked like someone had just pulled the rug out from under her. Her perfect image shattered. Her parents openly admitting they'd been cleaning up Lauren's disasters for years. She opened her mouth to speak, then shut it, eyes darting around the table like she was searching for an escape. Lauren burst into tears, sobbing about how unfair it all was. Erica screamed back that Lauren was dragging everyone down. They went at each other like wild dogs, shouting, crying, throwing blame across the table. Me? I just sat there, calm as a rock, sipping my water. When the noise hit a peak, I set my glass down and said, almost casually, I didn't have to ruin anything tonight. You two did it all yourselves. And Erica, we're over. Every eye in the room swung toward me. Erica's face burned with rage. Lauren glared through her tears. Miguel and Elena looked like they'd just aged 10 years in one evening. And me? I was cool, collected, and completely done playing their game. Erica, though, was a different story. After I dumped her in front of her entire family, she didn't speak to me for 2 days. Not a text, not a call, nothing. She didn't come by apartment, which was fine by me. Silence was better than listening to her pitch me sob stories about Lauren's legal defense. Meanwhile, Lauren went into full desperation mode. Late that Sunday night, My phone lit up with notifications from a new family group chat she created. The name? Support for Lauren. Yeah, no joke. She'd added every relative she could think of, plus me for some reason. Her first message was a novel-length plea about how the legal system was unfair and how she was wrongly targeted. She begged everyone to contribute money toward her lawyer's retainer. I scrolled through in silence while the replies started rolling in. One aunt responded with a praying hands emoji and said, "We should all chip in. Family takes care of each other." Oh, another cousin said, "This isn't fair to Lauren. She's a good person at heart." Then Diego jumped in like a sniper. "Why should anyone chip in? Didn't Erica tell Adam not to help his brother when he was literally homeless? What's the difference?" The chat blew up. A bunch of people were stunned. Someone else chimed in, "Wait, is that true?" Diego didn't back down. Yes, his brother was living in his car. Adam offered to let him stay, and Erica threatened to break off their engagement. But now she's asking all of us to bail out Lauren. Who stole money? Hypocrite much? I didn't even need to add anything. The hypocrisy spread on its own. Erica stayed silent in the chat, probably seething, while Lauren spammed messages like, "This is different, and I need real support, not judgment." It was like watching someone dig their own grave in real time. By the next day, Lauren escalated to a new low, an online fundraiser. She posted this long, dramatic story about being unfairly accused, about how the nonprofit was out to ruin her reputation, and how she just needed kind souls to help her afford a lawyer. The post stayed up for all of 3 hours before someone, not me, commented with screenshots of the actual police report and evidence. The CCTV footage timestamps, the forged receipts, all of it. Once that hit the page, the comments turned savage. Strangers mocked her, roasted her, told her to get a job instead of stealing from charities. Donations? Zero. Humiliation? Off the charts. I sat on my couch reading the comments, sipping coffee, shaking my head. Actions. Meet consequences. Then came Erica's move. That Friday evening, I came home from work and smelled something cooking. Real cooking, not microwave leftovers. She still had a key, so getting in wasn't exactly hard. The table was set, candles lit, and there was Erica, in an apron, smiling like nothing had happened. "Babe, I made your favorite." I raised an eyebrow. "What's the occasion?" She laughed nervously. I wanted to make things right. We've been so tense lately. We shouldn't end things like this, we should fix it." I sat down, letting her serve me. The food looked good. She poured water into my glass, touched my shoulder like she was back in girlfriend mode. It was funny, actually, as if she switched. We ate in silence for a few minutes before she finally dropped it. "So, about Lauren. Her lawyer is asking for a retainer of $10,000. I thought maybe we could split it. Just this once, to help my sister." I set my fork down. There it was. The whole act had been a setup. I leaned back, gave her a long look, and said, "So the candles, the apron, the cooking, all just a down payment for Lauren's lawyer?" Her face fell. "Adam, don't be like that. I'm trying here." "No," I said. "You're not trying to fix us. You're trying to fix your sister's fraud case with my money. Big difference." Her voice sharpened. "If you cared about me, you'd help. This is about loyalty, about partnership." I chuckled. "Partnership? You threatened to leave me when my brother needed a couch. Now you're demanding I fork over thousands for your sister who actually broke the law. That's not partnership. That's delusion." Her hands slammed down on the table. "Fine. If you won't help her, then maybe we don't belong together. Maybe this engagement was a mistake." I stood calm as ever, pushed my chair in, and said, "Erica, we were already done at the dinner table. I was just playing along with you." Her mouth opened and closed like she wanted to fire back, but nothing came out. She grabbed her purse, muttering about how much of an asshole I was, and stormed out. The door slammed so hard a picture frame rattled on the wall. I just picked up my fork and finished my meal. Honestly, best dinner I'd had in weeks. Not because the food was great, though it wasn't bad. It was because the mask had finally slipped. Erica's little performance was over, and she couldn't hide what she really wanted. My money, my compliance, my silence. She stormed out, and I slept like a baby. A few days later, my phone rang. Miguel. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity won. "Adam," he said, his voice heavy. "You need to know something." Turns out the investigation into Lauren's fraud had turned over more than receipts and CCTV footage. They'd gone through her phone. And guess whose messages popped up? Erica's. Investigators had shown Miguel the texts during their family interviews, and he read some of them to me. Erica to Lauren. "Everyone pads reports. Just don't get sloppy." Another one, take me to dinner with some of the extra LOL. I sat there in silence, letting him talk. Erica, the queen of boundaries and responsibility, was literally coaching her sister on how to steal and laughing about spending the money. Miguel's voice cracked. We always thought Erica was the stable one. But those messages, Adam, she was part of it. I just said, not surprised. And I wasn't. Hypocrisy that big doesn't happen by accident. Later that day, I got an email from Erica herself, a wall of text about how things were blown out of proportion and how Lauren was dragging her into it unfairly. She claimed she only joked about the expense reports, that she never really benefited. Then came the kicker. They're asking if you knew. I told them you didn't, but you should back me up on that if anyone asks. Just say we all thought Lauren's reports were fine. Translation, she wanted me to cover for her. I didn't respond. Not to that one, or to the next one where she tried guilt-tripping me with, after everything we've been through, you owe me this. The truth was, investigators had already looked into me. They subpoenaed my bank records, and I handed over statements myself just to be thorough. My bank records, my transactions, clean as a whistle. Every dollar I'd spent came from my paycheck or my savings. The only overlap? Lauren had once bought groceries and a blender for Erica and brought them to the apartment. I didn't even know where they came from, let alone that it was stolen money. The investigator actually told me, you're clear, but Erica? Not so much. That same week, Erica tried flipping the script. Word got around she was telling people I'd been involved, that I encouraged Lauren too, that I knew what was going on. It was pathetic. Nobody bought it because the paper trail didn't touch me. Still, the attempt said everything about her character. Instead of taking responsibility, she tried to drag me down with her. And the best part? Lauren turned on her. Full-on survival mode. At one point, Lauren apparently told investigators, Erica was the one who told me it was fine. She said everyone does it. Damn, from what Miguel told me, Lauren even brought screenshots of Erica pushing her to be smarter about it. By the end of that week, the investigators had enough. Lauren was already cooked, but now Erica was officially under investigation for aiding and abetting fraud. She wasn't just a bystander. She'd encouraged it, joked about it, and enjoyed the perks. Then came the domino effect. Her employer, the advertising firm she bragged about constantly, found out. They didn't wait for a trial. They called her in, thanked her for her service, and walked her out the door with a little box of her desk junk. Fired on the spot for reputation risk. I only know this because she showed up at the apartment the next day to collect the last of her things. She looked wrecked. No makeup, hair a mess, clothes wrinkled. She tried to put on the wounded act. They're lying, Adam. Lauren's desperate. She'll say anything. I didn't really do it. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. So the messages investigators pulled from your phone, those weren't you? She froze. Didn't answer. Just looked at the floor. Yeah, I said. That's what I thought. She finally snapped. You don't get it. They're trying to ruin me. Lauren's framing me. My parents don't trust me anymore. I lost my job. I could lose everything. You're supposed to be on my side. I laughed. Not cruel, just amused. Your side? Erica, you threatened to end our engagement over my brother needing a couch. You told me family's problems weren't your concern. Now you want me to throw myself into your mess? No thanks. Her eyes burned with rage. I'll never forgive you for this. I smirked. Good. Saves me the trouble of pretending I cared about forgiveness. I don't. I care about facts. And the facts say you're guilty. She stormed off, muttering curses under her breath. I shut the door and locked it. The weight was gone. The update came a week later. Both sisters facing charges. Lauren for embezzlement and fraud, Erica for aiding and abetting. The family chat went dead silent after that. No more pleas, no more guilt trips. Just quiet. Heavy shame. And me? I didn't have to lift a finger. Erica destroyed herself with her own texts. From there, everything snowballed. Over the next few months, the cases slowly worked their way through the system. Lauren's case went first. She ended up pleading guilty. Too much evidence stacked against her. The CCTV, the receipts, the forged reports, and now her own sister turning into part of the story. She took a deal. Probation, restitution, community service, and a fat fine she'll be paying off for years. Career? Done. No nonprofit, or any company with a brain, would hire her again. Then came Erica. She tried to play the victim card, whining about how Lauren manipulated her, how those messages were just jokes. But investigators didn't care about tone. They cared about intent. And those messages were enough to slap her with charges for aiding and abetting fraud. She lawyered up, burned through her savings, trying to dodge accountability. But it didn't matter. She walked out of court with a conviction, probation, and a fine that wiped out what little she had left. Her career? Dead in the water? No employer wanted someone with fraud attached to their name. She'd been the girl who loved bragging about her boundaries and her perfect work ethic. Now she was just another disgraced name with a record. Miguel and Elena looked like ghosts the next time I saw them. The proud parents who once bragged about their daughters now avoided eye contact. They were financially drained, ashamed, and stuck with both Erica and Lauren back under their roof. Two grown women, unemployed, fighting constantly, living off their parents' retirement. That house must have been hell. I heard through the grapevine that Lauren blamed Erica for everything. Said Erica encouraged her to do it, that she wouldn't have stolen a dime without Erica's influence. Erica, of course, screamed back that Lauren was lying, that she was the mastermind. The sisters went from inseparable to enemies in a matter of weeks. And the parents? They didn't know who to believe. Not that it mattered. Both were guilty. Miguel told me once, voice tired and broken. We raised them wrong. We covered too much. We excused too much. Now we're paying for it. I didn't argue. He wasn't wrong. Meanwhile, on my side of things, life only got better. Gus kept climbing. His new job turned out to be a gold mine for him. Within 3 months, he got promoted, and with his raise, he insisted on paying me back every cent I spent on that motel. He tried to hand me cash one night, and I laughed. Keep it, man. Save it for your place. But he forced it into my hand anyway. No, he said. I owe you. That's my brother. Responsible, grateful. Nothing like the mess Erica's family turned out to be. After a couple months living with that coworker, the commute and schedules started clashing, so he decided it made more sense to move in with me. We ditched the old apartment and upgraded to a bigger 2-bedroom closer to his job. Split the bills, kept the place clean, no drama. Just two brothers living like adults. Every Sunday we'd cook dinner together, catch up, and talk about the week. No guilt trips, no ultimatums, no fake boundaries, just family. And Erica? I didn't hear from her again directly. A few mutuals tried telling me she was sorry or that she wanted to explain, but I ignored it. There was nothing left to say. She'd shown me who she was, and who she was wasn't someone I'd ever want to marry. Last I heard, she was still living with her parents, jobless, bitter, and ranting about how unfair life was. Her dating profile apparently popped up with some nonsense about wanting a family-focused man with strong morals. That line made me laugh so hard I nearly choked. Family-focused. This from the woman who told me my homeless brother wasn't her concern? Please. Looking back, I don't regret a thing. I stuck to her rules, word for word. She said my family's issues weren't her concern, so I made hers none of mine. Fair trade. The difference is, I walked out clean, and she's stuck in the wreckage of her own making. She wanted me to live by her standards. I did, and look where it got her. Broke, single, on probation. Meanwhile, my brother's thriving, and I'm better off than I've ever been. Fair trade if you ask me. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.